Okay. I think I am live now. I'm not sure where to look because I'm on two screens, so I'm just going to talk to the screen I'm looking at. I'm going to do a walkthrough of a video that, let me stop it. Yeah, hold on. Let me stop it over there. Sorry. Okay, now I know where I'm live because I came on the other side. So this is new. Be patient with me. I'm going to try to start doing some lives. One of the things I do is I study human behavior, and I've been doing it for many, many years. Like, I don't even know when I started. I know originally I was trying to understand what was going on in my own brain. When I started school, I wanted to go into medicine and study the operations of the brain, right? Do brain research and all of that. And then, anyway, you'll hear my story at some point in the future. That's not today. Today, what we're going to talk about is a video I was watching. And I thought, there's so much out there now. And you know me, I stay away from the media. I stay away from, as much as I can, news and things like that. When people call and tell me to go watch something, then I'll go look. But usually I don't go on the main TV news. Unless I'm on it. Obviously I go when I'm on it. But when I'm not on it, I go and I look on YouTube or somewhere to find my information. It's just a personal preference. But here's the point. So today, I was here talking to a friend of mine, looked up, I've shared quite a few times about Princella P, the queen maker. Some people call her Pastor P, Professor P, all these things. She's a 37-year-old woman who, you'll hear her biography because I'm going to go through and put it on the video in just a second. The information that she's sharing from my perspective has shown a light on everything that I have seen in my life, through every single one of my marriages, through every single relationship, through relationships with family members, across the board, the dynamic and gender dynamic between men and women, women and women. And so I'll share more as we go, but I want to watch this video together. It is quite long, so I don't know. I'm pretty sure I won't finish it today. We'll stop when we stop, and then we'll pick it up another time. But anyway, let's go. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And so that way we can get it in there. So it'll take me just a second to get it all set up. And I believe, let me just make sure that it's sharing the way I need it to share. Okay, it is. And then let me find me on here so you can see my face when I'm making them, because I will be making them. All right, here we go.
The topic. So you know what we're talking about today, and we have a special guest. So let me show you all who we're going to be talking to. Today, we're going to be talking to Princella. Hey, Princella. All right, I'm going to introduce you in just a moment. Let me do some housekeeping. All right, so welcome in, everybody. Welcome. I am your host, Tonya TKO. I am a self-love specialist from TonyaTKO.com. I hope you learn how to love yourselves and one another. On this channel, we typically use viral video topics so that we can use some in-the-moment self-love lessons that we learn from looking at what is happening in these topics, and us being able to transfer that into what we need to do for our own lives. So today we're talking about lesbianism. That's what we're getting into. Lesbianism. Is that the answer? Is that the answer for Black women? You know, they have the Save Yourself Black Men movement, and we have a lot of content creators who are coming up with ways to empower women and figuring out ways that women can be able to live their best lives. So without further ado, let me bring forward the Queen Maker. So welcome in, everyone. Welcome, 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 welcome. All right, so Princella. Oh my goodness, you're gracing our our broadcast today. So first of all, for the people who don't know you, introduce yourself so that they can find out who you are, what you're about, all of that.
Okay, well, my name is Princella, and many refer to me as the Queen Maker, and others refer to me as Pastor P. I am a social reformer and for women's empowerment. So I have a background in cell and molecular biology. I was commissioned as an officer in the Army. I have a PMP certification, project management, and I was top sales in the car industry, cell phone industry, and direct marketing industry. And so I have a unique perspective that has allowed me to take all of my information that I've come across in life and package that in a way where it gives women clarity, not only about themselves, but also about men, so that they can make better decisions in their life. And as a result of that, I am known as the new lesbian cult leader, which
Oh
is
my
how we end
Lord.
up here today on this topic.
You know what? Listen,
Yes.
why? This is how you coming out the box? You known as the lesbian cult maker?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the lesbian maker, I'm the stud maker, I'm the single woman maker, you name it, I'm all this. So yeah, let's go ahead and address the lesbian cult leader.
Well, all right. So you ready to just jump into it? You done with the intros? You jumping right in, huh? I
Let's
guess we.
let's let's go ahead and meet it head on.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, you know what? Okay. Listen. All right. Okay. Let's meet it head on then. Talk. Oops. I'm talk. What is? Is it a rumor or is it the truth, Ruth?
Well, what a rumor? Am I a lesbian cult leader or am I myself a lesbian? Okay, so let's break it down. First and foremost, I absolutely do date women, right? I do date women, and I'm not ashamed to say that. And I guess people have an issue because the messenger of the truth, which is rooted in scientific fact, which is rooted in philosophical fact, psychological fact, and sociological fact, the leader of this truth that is being spoken happens to be lesbian, right? Now, I did not
Wait, hold on.
start out this way.
Hold on. So you are a lesbian?
Yeah, I mean, that's the way y'all perceive me,
No.
right? Since
You
I date women.
speaking your truth now. Are you a
No,
lesbian?
no, I'm saying I date women. So is that the way you perceive a woman who dates women? Is that the name y'all call it? Cool. I'll roll with that.
Listen.
I'll roll with that. So if that's the label that you give it, then yeah, I guess I am, according to y'all.
No.
Right?
No.
So
According to you, because you speaking the truth. According to you.
no.
Okay.
Because
I'm going to pause right now. So this is what made me move this to the screen. And some people probably already scrolled when she said lesbianism or whatever, when you saw the title, is lesbianism the way to save Black women? And I know that the titles and all of that for YouTube are designed to get people to pay attention. They're designed to get people to tune in. But what's in my opinion, this message is so much larger. That is not the message here. And so if people tuned in for that, my fear is that the people who really need to hear this are not going to tune in because lesbian is not in their religious practice or their philosophical belief and all these other things, right? So they're going to keep going. But the message that is going to be shared and that is shared and that she continues to share behind the cursing, behind the crazy talk, because she does talk to you crazy. But one of the things about it is she's breaking through brainwashing. And so what I've been trying to do is I've tried to share on Facebook, I've shared different places. She is giving my message that I'm too scared to give because, all kinds of mess, because I'm so in. And that's why when I shared on another video that it's like each time I get out of one box, I realize I'm in a bigger box, and I'm in a bigger box, and I can't do this because I'm in a bigger box. I sign my own checks. I create my own life, but I'm still in a box. And until I actually heard Princella, it's like she came to me with this message. And it is a truth, and I know it. The truth in your spirit. And it is going to be hard to hear. Especially, I've been married 5 times. So if you are still married, it's going to be very difficult to hear. But if you keep your mind open, you will realize you're going to know it's the truth. Whether you keep your mind open or not, you're going to know it's the truth. That's one of those things you can't unhear. Like you cannot unhear. So you will know you're hearing the truth. Now, you have to decide whether you want to act on the truth or not. It's not that you have to. And here's the thing about the truth. You never have to change your life in order to observe the truth. You don't. There's no, God has given us free will to live however we choose to live. However, you can still have the same pieces or the same cards dealt in your hand, but play them differently when you have all the information. We have been playing all these years with part of the information about a lot of different areas. And I will say, until I actually heard the message from Princella P., I, like all of us, were operating within a paradigm, and I was operating within a paradigm of agreements that I didn't even know I made. And I teach in Dreams Fulfilled about agreements. I coach about agreements, but those are the ones I can clearly see. The ones that are blinding or that are tripping me up and you up and all of us up are the ones we can't see because we believe they're the truth. We don't even realize it's an agreement. We just think it's the truth. So anyway, let's get back to it. Stay with me. You will not regret it. This will be posted after. If you can't, come back and look at it in your own time. If you don't want somebody seeing you looking at it, it's not about lesbianism. But hey, if that's your thing, then that's wonderful. You have free will like everybody else, or whatever. So anyway, we'll keep going. And then I'll come in from time to time and give just a little insight. Yeah, let's just go.
Because I don't live by labels. Okay. See,
okay.
I'm a sapiosexual and I'm a demisexual, which puts me on the asexual spectrum, right? So my sexuality is not rooted in biology. It's rooted in psychology. So I'm only attracted to people sexually based on intelligence and based on emotional connection. So once I came to the conclusion that men were not capable of these things, I decided to direct my energy towards women whom I know are capable of those things. Now, if you decide that that's lesbianism, then I'll go with it.
Okay. All right. So to me, a lesbian is a woman who exclusively dates women. I think bisexual is what covers women who date both. I'm not sure what a demisexual is. Is that bisexual? Demisexual? What?
No, no. Demisexual is on the asexual spectrum. So I don't have a sexual attraction to either men or women, neither one of them. It's all mental. So demisexual are individuals who only have a sexual attraction or desire once they have an emotional or strong emotional connection with someone. So I have to be strongly emotionally connected to someone. I could be strongly emotionally connected to a man, or I could be strongly emotionally connected to a woman, right? So, and I'm a sapiosexual. I know you heard of sapiosexual, correct?
Yes, because I'm a sapio.
Okay, so
I'm a sapio as well.
Right. Right. So you could be in the presence of a man, right? He could be physically attractive.
Right.
But if he opens his mouth and he's dumb as hell, your sexual desire goes, right? And you have no sexual. That's me. I'm always in my head. I'm an Aquarius. So I'm always in my head. So I view the majority of males as unintelligent, okay? So,
Ooh.
boom, my sexual attraction is non-existent for them. And because I have decided that men are incapable of deep emotional connections, spiritual and mental connections, since they are not, I have no compatibility with them on the emotional side. So, after my research to understand the difference between men and women biologically and psychologically, I
Mm-hmm.
realized that everything that I wanted spiritually, mentally, and emotionally was never going to come from a man. I've tried, I've been married, I've dated these guys, and it just ain't coming from them. And so once I realized that, I was like, well, just because they can't do it, who the hell says I gotta go without it?
Oh.
I don't have to go without it.
Oh my. Okay. So, okay. Oh my goodness, there's so much. You know what? Listen, there's
Go on,
so
let
much.
your head go on, Tanya. Let your head spin for a second.
Okay. Listen.
Pause it. So I told you, Princella she's gonna bust through brainwashing, and you have to be able to get through the hard parts. So, I'm not a sapiosexual, I am a heterosexual. So a man can be dumb as F-U-C-K. If they find I'm turned on, it's just that simple. So it had, everybody's different. However, I'm 5 marriages down for exactly what she's going to talk about. And it's funny. I hope my neighbor's watching this, because she always like, you need to do a book about how you got 5 men to marry you. I will do that video. It's easy. It's easy because they're just not, that it's simple. Men are simple. Men are super simple. So that's easy. I could, there's probably 2 or 3 I could get right now if I wanted to, if I said yes or whatever. So no, it's that part is simple. What's difficult is getting them to meet you at an emotional level and to support you at an emotional level, and to not become jealous of you, and not to become not jealous in the sense of things that you have, but in the value that we have organically that is different. It's just different. And it is not, I'm not going to teach her. I'm not going to teach her stuff. We're going to just stay with it. Listen, ladies, you need to hear it. You need to hear it. When you get the information, you can do what you want. You can do what you want. You see how beehives work with the queen bee. You see how ant hills work with the queen ant. There's no king ant. There's no king bee. So she is coming from the science perspective, and I want to give her the respect to give the information. Follow her, the High Powered Podcast on YouTube, so you can get it. Just know you're going to hear cursing, you're going to hear obscenities, you're going to hear everything, because she's breaking through this 54-year-old brainwashed mind, 35-year-old brainwashed mind, 25-year-old brainwashed mind. So she says things that will shock you. But ladies, if you listen, it is life-changing. I literally told the men that I was in conversation, or who were courting, whatever you want to call them, like, no, I'm not. I'm done. I'm done with the conversation. I'm done with any sexual relationship. I'm done with all of it. I'm done with all of it. I have friends that are males. That's great. I have coworkers that are males. That's great. They are not at the same level that we need in relationship. Now, if you're married, that doesn't mean you got to leave your husband. That just means you just got to learn to play your cards different. Because if everybody starts talking like Princella's doing, and so many other Cynthia G's doing, I'm going to start doing, and other people, if people start telling the truth, we all might decide that we want to play our cards differently. That doesn't mean you have to get a woman. There's all kind of options, baby. I'm a battery sexual, whatever you need to be, but there are men who can get there. They're just few and far in between. And we don't know how to look for them because we're too busy trying to find Dwayne, fine, whatever over here. I can't think of nobody but Dwayne the Rock. That's who I think of when I think of fine. But we're trying to get them to meet us there. and they can't meet us there. So we got to find that man who's already there. Anyway, let's get back. Powerful, powerful information. I am going to talk about this Tonya TKO. I've never watched her before. Don't know her, don't know what she does, but got a lot of opinions on a little bit that I've seen so far. I have not watched this whole thing. So as I get it, I'll confirm whether, because I'm a behavior analyst. That's what I do. I study behavioral. That makes me good at what I do. That makes me good at settlements. That makes me good at getting people to move in the way I need them to move. So I'm good at that. I'm an expert at that. And so I'm going to use some of that expertise in reading what I see in here as well.
Listen. I need to go back to let's go back to the root. Let's go back to the root. All right. Number one,
Okay.
You said that your background was in molecular biology. What does that mean?
Cell and molecular biology? Okay. So there are multiple sciences and there are multiple disciplines when it comes to these sciences. So when we're talking about molecular and cellular biology, it's solely rooted in molecules, right? When you get into the organic chemistry component and how these molecules operate in the cells, the functions of the cell. So that's the concentration. So the whole point of biology, when we talk about biology, it's about the foundations of life. So biology 101, this is why it's important. It tells you the 5 characteristics to determine if an organism is a living organism, right? So with these 5 characteristics, everything builds around this concept, okay? So I have incorporated the understanding of science. Why? Because science is rooted in analysis. It's rooted in studying the nature and the behavior of the planet and things around you without human manipulation, right?
Okay.
So it's based on observation and fact, right? So I have taken my training in science to incorporate in my analysis of human behavior and the difference between the sexes, if that makes sense.
Okay. Well, you know what? Let's expound upon that. So you say your background. Do you have a degree in this? Did you work in it? Were you a scientist in a
No.
lab? Okay.
Well, okay, so I went to school and I'm only 18 hours away of actually getting a bachelor's in cell and molecular biology. So I only basically have 1 semester left to finish that. So in that, you are in the lab. You cannot get a degree or even have that many hours without being in the laboratory. So I have separated proteins, right? I've used the centrifuge. I've done the calculations. I've been in the study. So it's not the field that I chose to stay in. However, I have gained the perspective and the actual hands-on things that I needed to do to understand how to analyze things in the scientific world. So I've taken that knowledge that I have acquired and I never lost it. I took it into new fields. So going from cell and molecular biology, I also then transitioned into leadership in the military. So now I have a background of understanding not only how to lead myself and how to lead others, but now I can see what characteristics are required for a person to be a leader. So I have to possess these, and then I have to analyze other people and say, do they have the characteristics, the traits, or the qualities to possess leadership skills within them? Why is that important, Tonya?
Yeah.
That's important because the narrative that's being pushed out in male and female relationships is that men are supposed to be the leaders, that they're the natural leaders, the providers and protectors. But when you look out into the world, you see nothing but chaos.
Right.
Well, I see that there's a problem. There is a problem because women, 1, do not know men, and 2, they don't even know leadership. So women are not being able to make good choices in men because they're being led on total ignorance. They're blind. They don't know what leadership is, and they don't know who men are. So because of this, because of this, Tonya,
Yeah.
and my life experiences and what I have acquired and what I've gone through learning these lessons through the school of hard knocks and formal education. I am a humanitarian before I'm anything.
Okay.
And when I look online and I see women constantly crying, women being confused, and all of these stories I keep hearing about how men doing these women, I'm looking at these sad posts for years in the marriage club.
Yeah.
I have the answer to why women are experiencing the discordance that they're experiencing in these relationships. And I can do one or two things. I can
Yeah.
keep this knowledge to
Keep it to
myself and
yourself or
sit
share
back
it.
and watch people be in pain, or I can provide them the answer and give them freedom of choice. Give them freedom of choice through informed decision making.
Okay. Well, you know what? Thank you. I appreciate that. Let me put a little applause on that. All right. So follow up.
Real quickly, I just want to point out, I saw in the chat, someone said she's messy, referring to Tonya TKO, and says she's not being messy yet, but just wait. Well, let me just say she already is being messy. First off, the title of the show is Lesbianism the Way to Save Black Women? When you listen to Princella P's message, that is not the message she's giving. So, okay, that's fine. Let's say for media purposes, people are attracted to mess. So maybe they would come. I doubt it. Unless you're interested in looking and considering lesbianism, I don't know that you would use that title would necessarily attract you. So first off, that's messy. And then when she gets on the show, and she asks her about her sexual preference, which really shouldn't even matter, but she asked her about it, and Princella has no problem giving it to her. Well, then she goes, oh, you really are? So you mean you put that as the title to your show and you didn't think it was the truth? Come on, that's messy. And it's that type of inauthenticity in females, not feminines, because I was going to say divine. This ain't nothing divine about this feminine. In females, that inauthenticity that creates issues, and it undermines our own mental health of all females as a collective, not as an individual. And I don't know if Princella's going to get to it. She's great at calling stuff like that out. She may or she may not. Don't know. I can't wait to see. So we're going to keep watching. But yes, she's already being messy. This is already messy.
What question? You said that you've done a lot of research. Tell us about some of this
Yes.
research. Some of us are just meeting you for the first time. Others know you, but some may not know your scientific process or the research that you've done.
Okay, so when you're doing research, first and foremost, you have to always go through credible sources. And when you use statistical analysis, it's always about getting a sample, a population size, and being able to dig deep into.
First off, this is so over this lady's head, so over. And I hate to say it, but probably over a lot of people. Here's the real deal. Get the message and do your own research if you have a question about it. It's not a problem. Princella's told her history in cellular molecular biology, and she shares in all of her messages. She does share her stories. I mean, her studies, where she got it, the research, the medical paper. She brings it up on screen. So she does share it. But it is, I am huge on behavior and reading people. And it is the energy that this lady is giving off that is not, there is no sincere interest in Princella. The interest is in, you see my little, this little, okay, so there's a body language. If you've ever studied body language, this right here, that's disgust, right? That's what I'm feeling. And and I'm a reader. Everything for me, I'm an empath. So it's feeling, and it comes through whatever. through the screen. So that's what this is. So anyway, we'll keep watching. The message is going to be phenomenal. Princella is going to get it across. And even though in our private groups where we talk, we're like, why do you even go on these shows? Why do you even do that? But this is how her name gets out. So she does it. And there are lives that will be saved here. There's somebody who's getting beat at home, mistreated at home, knows their husband got 3 other women. She hadn't got HIV positive yet, but she might any other day because she doesn't really believe who this person is that she's married to. She doesn't really believe who this person is that she's dating. And so Princella is going to take it down to a scientific level and break it down so that you still can choose, but you're choosing with all the information. We have so much of the information has been kept from us. And if people have called me Sister Soldier because I believed up until I met Princella that it was being kept from us by the majority. And it was this black and white thing versus being or a have and have not thing or that versus it being a biological thing and a patriarchy thing and a misogynistic thing. So this is all new information and I'm learning with you guys and I'm going to share because this will save lives.
What it is that you're trying to analyze. And so when you take a sample population, it's just an indicator, all right, of what may be going on over a bigger scale. So the easiest way to talk about statistics is use a coin, right?
Okay.
Heads, tails. If you flip the coin 10 times, right, it may land on heads like 7 times and tails 3 times, right? But that's only because you flipped it 10 times. But the more you flip it, the closer it will get to its actual depiction of a 50-50 relationship, because you can flip it and it end up on heads 50% of the time, tails 50% of the time, because it's one coin with 2 sides, right? But to get a more accurate depiction of the population, you have to flip it enough times. So if you flip it 10 times, it could come 7 out of 10. But if you flip it 1,000 times, it's gonna look more close to 50-50.
Right,
so
exactly.
You have to get a big enough sample size, right, to be able to analyze what it is that you're trying to analyze. So when I look at society, I need to make sure that I get credible research to back up my claims if I'm going to say something. So the credible sources that I go to is I go to the government's website where all of the research papers are held, peer-reviewed studies, all right? And this is the National Library of Medicine. I don't let nothing come out of my mouth that I cannot substantiate through peer-reviewed research, right? And this is important that this is done because you do not want to add your own junk into, right, what you're saying, because the manosphere has a habit of doing that. They do not substantiate any of their claims through any peer-reviewed research. They're just talking out of emotion. And one of the things in the public is that women are emotional and men are more logical. That narrative has to be destroyed. And it's so easy for women to destroy it because the truth is on women's side. The truth is not on men's side. The truth is on the side of the female.
Yes. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you with applause. Go ahead.
No, it's cool. It's cool, Tonya. Thank you. But the truth is on the side of the woman. So it's real easy to go and get peer-reviewed research papers that back up the claims to support women. But the scientists know this. Everybody knows this who are running the globe. So there has been a concerted effort to keep women out of the knowledge of science, math, occult wisdom to keep and sell them fantasies so that men's delusion can continue to be supported. Because when you tell a man the truth, it doesn't matter if you tell him his dick little, it doesn't matter if you tell him that he's broke. You cannot tell the man the truth about anything because he will come undone. Why is that? Why is the male's ego so fragile? There is a scientific reason for it.
Mm. Oh, I lost my screen. Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, Princella. I lost my screen for some reason. Let me get you back up here. Sorry. Go ahead. What's the
Yes, ma'am.
scientific reason that men become undone when they're confronted?
Okay, so men's egos are very, very fragile because men will tell you this out of their own mouths. It's not something that I'm making up. All women have to do is pay attention and listen to men with the right ears. Have you heard men say, our past don't matter as a man. Y'all past matter more as a woman. You know why? Because women are born with value. Women have to preserve their value. So this is the reason why her past matters. This is the reason why we need to know how many bodies you got, right? We need to know your past because we need to know that you preserve value. We, on the other hand, our past doesn't matter as men because we're born with no value. We have to build value, and we don't get our value don't come until around 30 or 35 or 40. Men will tell you that they're born at the wall.
Wait, what do you
But
mean they're
women
born at
don't
the
hear
wall?
that. They born at the wall. They say women hit the wall. So that means you come out the womb running, right? Like the rabbit. And then when you get to a certain age, you just hum into a brick wall where men don't want you no more. That's the rationale, right? That's not coming from me. That's coming from men letting you know their struggle as a man. We are born with no value. We have to build value. The average male struggles to build this value. And so they depend on women to get their value built. Men heavily depend on women because they are codependent by nature. So when you get down into the biology of the difference between men and women, what you're going to find out is something called sexual conflict.
Okay.
Sexual conflict, let me explain that. This manosphere red pill and this thing that men and women going back and forth with each other, y'all know that is what? The gender war, right?
Okay.
They know that as the gender war. And they think that the gender war is some manufactured thing from the elites. The gender war, the black woman against the black man and all that. We heard it. But what people do not understand is that when you get down into the biology of the XX and the XY chromosomes, what you're going to find is what is called sexual conflict, where male and female sexual purposes differ. They are in opposition of each other, right? Okay. So women produce offspring by quality. It's quality over quantity for the female.
Right. And
right?
for men, it's
And
quantity. Right.
it's quantity,
Spread
right?
the seed far and wide. Yes.
Absolutely. And so the earliest species on planet Earth were female. Female is the biological norm, and the earliest species of female copied themselves asexually. right? And so basically making clones of themselves, reproducing more exact copies. Well, in changing environments, you need genetic variation to ensure survival. So later on down the line, males were produced, okay, to carry extra genes for those environmental changes, okay? When women have daughters, women pass down mitochondrial DNA. Mitochondrial DNA is only passed down from mother to daughter. And women are born with all of the eggs that they will ever use. And within those eggs, if those eggs are girl babies, the eggs are perpetual. They have a eternal line. It's an eternal line that never ends. However, when the male reproduces himself, he cannot exist unless he passes down a Y chromosome, and he can only pass that Y chromosome down if he copulates with a female. He cannot do it on his own, which puts the male in a perpetual state of scarcity and survival, because male fetuses are more fragile in the womb than females. Male sperm is more fragile. So from conception into the grave, the male is fighting to survive. So when he gets here on planet Earth, after going through all of the obstetric issues that he can face in utero, he comes out and has more issues with survival. So men's psychology is hardwired for survival, where women's psychology is more about existing in abundance. So you have, go ahead.
That's our reminder to take a break. So let me.
Okay.
So listen. So what we need to do for this break. So I want you to do this too, Princella.
Yes.
Get up out of your seat. Move your hips, squat, stretch, do something. I know your makeup is looking all pretty and everything, but what we're going to do is we're going to take a movement break. And when we come back, we're going to read some of the cash apples from people who have sent them through. You want to drop your cash app so that people.
Okay, I'm going to fast forward here. Let's see how far it's going to go.
Princella, let's talk. So the last thing that we were talking about before the break was you were talking about the nature of men coming, or nature of boys coming out of the wombs, that they're wired for fighting for survival, and that women are wired for, let's pick up where we left off.
Yes, so because the male has to struggle to survive, because in so many different ways, it's as if the uterus or the womb is trying to get rid of what is different in the womb. So males have a lot of deficits that they have to struggle through. And so when a woman is pregnant with a male fetus, the male child leaves Y chromosomal DNA scattered across the mother's brain, so that he can ensure that she gives more care to him than a daughter, because girls are the stronger sex. They have more emotional intelligence, they are smarter, they have less deficiencies. Males have a lot of deficiencies and they need so much help. And so their struggle for survival is stronger than the female. So because the Y chromosome is so degenerate, it's missing a lot of genes.
And so, okay, just got to come in here. As a mom and just as a woman, if you're a woman and you have children, or you have relatives, or friends with children, you've seen that there is a difference between girl children and boy children, female children and male children. There are differences. Now, Princella's huge to say that this is not all. So she does, and I don't know if we're going to get to that here, but if you follow her on her page and listen to her true education, she has workshops and all kinds of stuff. You know, she does point out that it is not all men, and she names specific men by name who this would not apply to. And if you, like myself, had, you know, well, my child was grown, but if you have a boy child under the age of 6, these are the type of men that you need to be getting your son around so that they can ascend to a higher level of emotional intelligence. So it's not, so just, you know, keep your mind open, listen, just valuable information.
I'm just saying what it is, you know what I mean? Because these are facts, they're facts. The X chromosome has way more genes, thousands of genes, compared to the only a few hundred genes on the Y chromosome, which makes males have a lot more deficiencies than females and makes them more codependent. So men or male children are born in scarcity and survival. Scarcity and survival are the two staples of men that make them who they are. Females, on the other hand, they're born in abundance and they're born to exist. The female does not have to fight to pass her genes along. She is born in sexual abundance. She's born in sexual abundance. The male is born in sexual scarcity. So in a natural environment, the average male would not make it because he would have to be the fittest in order to survive, to pass his genes along. The majority of them don't make it. So in this system that has been created, patriarchy, the male, even the most unfit male has been given access to a woman to pass his genes along. But men, you need to understand that they move to pass their genes along in abundance. So it's not quality versus quantity, it's quantity over quality for them. So one woman ain't enough, even if you give him one woman. And the reason why you end up with men who unalive women and they say, if I can't have you, no one can, because males operate in scarcity and women are a resource to men. Women and sex is just like food and water to men. So when women are free, it bothers men because they live in territory, scarcity, right? They aggression, all of these things, conquering, right? So their existences are diametrically opposed to each other, which creates the conflict. So if I want you to look at my hands, if the natural flow is going this way, in order to make it go the other way around, you have to force it inward. Heterosexual relationships, and I'm not talking about just sex, I'm talking about literally maintaining a full relationship, mental, emotional, spiritual, sexual, responsibility, all that. In order to maintain this, both parties have to go against their nature. Men are being forced to be monogamous in this unnatural system. They are forced to be in the house and they don't want to be in the house. They are forced to help the woman carry responsibilities that were meant for women to carry. And he can't do it. And he's upset about it. And he's struggling trying to do it. So he's having to try to deal with women's emotions when they can't even deal with their own.
Now, hold on. I need to give an applause on that right there.
Yeah, and that is so true. And you know it's true. And if you like, if you just have little friends who are married, I'm telling you, when I was sick, there was a married man, actually a couple, that would stop by, like, you okay? Let me bring something. Let me do something. Let me do this. Let me do that. Let me do this. Then not, not like not in a bad way, but in a way that your wife ain't gonna want you. Like, but you know what? And see, look at how it's all set up. It's all set up because the way that we have been taught in our communities, like in my mind, I'm going to be like, okay, does your wife know you doing, like, because that, like that wouldn't be okay with me as a woman, I don't know. But here's the thing. We are made as women to compete against one another. So we don't, like we think that means good. Like I feel good if so-and-so comes by and stops by and does this for me and does that for me. Well, that's disrespectful to you and to their wife. But we as women, not all, but a lot of us just don't consider that other person. And I used to think that men were the only ones who lacked empathy, but no, there are women, and Princella has helped me to understand through her teaching that it's not our natural way to be to lack that empathy. We are that subconscious. We are the conscientiousness that undergirds the man. But the reason that is denied is because we've been put in a situation and in a system or a matrix that is backwards. It's backwards, and it makes us compete woman against woman instead of coming together in community. And when you look back to countries in Africa or the tribal nature, or even you don't even have to go to Africa. You can be here. You can look at the Asian communities, the Indian communities. They operate in community. The women operate in community, not in competition. Right? But in our community, in the American society, because of how it has been structured, and it goes outside, it's worldwide in some cases, but definitely here, we are in this competition. And it is something that when I heard someone explain to me what I knew I was seeing, because if you remember back in 2019, I started with some of these videos and I got on narcissism and I got on these different things, but I hit a wall because everybody can't be a narcissist. So if everybody is this, if all of these men or the majority of these men are this way, it's something bigger than a narcissist scenario. What am I seeing? And that information is what she is providing, and it is powerful and it is empowering. But anyway, back on Miss Tonya TKO, like this is, the messiness of it, I guess, is good. And so that's why in my title, I said empowerment versus embarrassment. Like this is the traditional messiness of the competitive woman. And, like asking, oh, well, what exactly do you have a degree in it? Well, ma'am, do you have a degree in self-love? Like, come on, and it's so contradictory and it's so condescending. And so that's why I'm not meant to be, but Princella has that. She has, and now she can go there though. She and will light it up. So anyway, I don't know. We got a long way to go. It might get to that point, but she will go there. But I know I would have been there. Like my fuse is a little bit too short. Anyway, let's go back.
Yeah, I need to give an applause on that, girl. Yes, absolutely. Okay, go ahead.
Men will get upset of what I'm saying because, again, the truth does not support their existence, and men depend on a delusion. Men depend on women living in a delusional state to continue to get access to women. Mm-hmm. Because if women knew the truth, a lot of women would not be dealing with men. Okay. But
you know how much money I have spent in counseling for that message? Years and years at $150 a pop, 3 times a week in some cases. You know how much money I have spent to get to that point right there. Just for somebody to say, no, babe, I had a male counselor, by the way. I've had several male counselors. You're in a delusion. You're in a delusion. You're in a delusion. Men know men. There's another video I'm gonna get to at some point. It's gonna take me a week probably to get through this one, but that is a man talking about this very same thing and telling you from a man's perspective how they look at women, how they feel. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. You know, we've heard this our whole lives. When you look at it, you see everything. If you just listen and pause long enough, you know, and it took, you know, it takes sometimes backing away. I had to cut off the TV, the media, the whatever, and deal in reality. Excuse me. And it may be the sociopath show, but it's real. He killed somebody and chopped them up. It's real. This is human behavior. This is real, you know, and come away from somebody controlling what is going in here. And, you know, so anyway, let's back to this. Let's go.
Men do not even know how they feel in their own body, and they don't even have the words to tell you how they feel in their own.
I will say this, my son does, because we taught him to use his words and we taught him feelings, and he does. But even with him having been taught, having a mom that is a coach 24/7, he's very good, but he still has the characteristics of the male that she describes scientifically. He still has the characteristics of testosterone that she describes scientifically. He still has the characteristics of the Y chromosome that she describes. Oh, and we can go back to the, oh man, we can get to the Bible. Those are all different videos, but baby, I got notes back from 2005 that is talking about Genesis, and how Genesis, what she's saying, and she doesn't go there, lines up with the study that I did back then. So that'll be another video. Just watch for it. If you're not following me, because I don't have very many, because I know I haven't been posting, but I'm starting back. Go out, follow, subscribe, look, and check out the videos and see, because I will be sharing a lot of information that I think and hope you'll find empowering.
Body. The male's emotional vocabulary is it's an impediment.
Oh,
he might only have 4 or 5 words to describe the feeling. The male really believes that the only emotions are happy, sad, and mad, or something like that. Happy, sad, and mad. Men are more likely to be affected by a deficit called alexithymia. Alexithymia impacts men way more than it impacts women. And what is alexithymia? Alexithymia is a lack of an emotional vocabulary. Men can't even tell you how they feel. And they're being forced in relationship dynamics where women are trying to squeeze blood out of a turnip and get him to emotionally connect with her when he doesn't even know his own emotional state. So Tonya, whatever you just pulled up to alexithymia, if you could just read it for everybody, whatever it describes.
Sure. Let me put this right here, and let's get the there we go. Give me 1 second. I need to, once we went live, the screens changed. So it just became, so here we go. Alexithymia is not a condition in its own right, but rather an inability to identify and describe emotions. People with alexithymia have difficulties recognizing and communicating their own emotions, and they also struggle to recognize and respond to emotions in others. That sounds like men to me.
Yes.
For sure.
And more men are affected with that or by that than females. And women there has been a systematic effort to keep women out of the knowledge of male makeup. Women don't know this. So because women don't know this, women are putting a lot of pressure on men, trying to get men to do something that they really are incapable of doing. Okay, this is what women don't understand. So not only are they trying to squeeze blood out of a turnip by doing that, women also do not know the effects that testosterone has on male behavior. Testosterone is the chemical that is responsible for aggression, dominance, competition, and verbal aggressiveness in men. It is responsible for that. It is the sole chemical. Testosterone is concentrated in the male bloodstream 15 times more than that of a woman. And what they also don't know is that your prefrontal cortex, right, that sits at the front of your brain, in there is housed the orbital frontal cortex. The orbital frontal cortex is basically your brake pedal. Like in your car when you're speeding or you're driving and then you press your brakes so that you don't crash into a wall. That's the orbital frontal cortex is your brake pedal.
Okay.
So the amygdala is responsible for emotions. And one of the key emotions of the amygdala is anger. Men are not emotionally expressive. They are emotionally reactive. Now, the larger the orbital frontal cortex is, the brake pedal, in relation to the amygdala, will give a person more control over their emotions. So when you compare the volume size or the volume of the orbital frontal cortex just by men and women alike, what you find out is that women's orbital frontal cortex is larger than men's orbital frontal cortex in relation to their amygdala and in relation to each other.
I need to write that down while you're going on.
Yes.
Continue.
Yes. Okay. So once you realize that and you understand the effects that testosterone has on the amygdala, when testosterone levels rise, what testosterone is doing is knocking on the door of the amygdala. Hey, I'm getting angry. I'm getting angry. I'm getting angry. This is where the Incredible Hulk comes in, right? You're making me angry, right? This is testosterone knocking on the amygdala, okay? When women keep talking and messing with men, their testosterone levels continue to rise until it cuts off the brake pedal. It shuts off the brake pedal's job, and men become impulsive. And so if you make a man mad enough, raising his testosterone levels, men can black out, right? And that's them going, cutting off that brake pedal. And in order to counteract as an antagonistic effect on testosterone, you need serotonin and you need cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone that acts as an antagonizer to testosterone. And cortisol is a stress hormone. So what does this tell you? That men function better in stressful environments. Women do not function this way. So if men are more affected by alexithymia than women, where they lack an emotional vocabulary, and they're more emotionally reactive, and then the system that they're living in, that they're trying to domesticate men in, put men in a stoic mentality where they are ashamed of expressing their emotions, men begin to bottle up these emotions. And then when women who are totally ignorant of male makeup come, why you don't talk to me? Why you don't express your emotions? She don't even know that she making him mad. She don't even know that she's about to get this dude to, and this is why men keep saying, y'all need to keep y'all mouth closed, but the women don't know why. And so what I teach women is the full nature of a man. and who he is at his core and why you experience what you experience. Because once I give you all the information, what I'm giving these women is freedom of choice. People like to call me a lesbian cult leader because the messenger has chosen to date women after I learned all this. It wasn't until I learned all this and then I wrote my book, 41 Shades of Men, The Pursuit to Subdue and Use You, that I say, you know what? I don't got to deal with this. I got the freedom to choose the life that I want. And so what I do is I give women the ability to think, the ability to rationalize, and the ability to choose. So I don't tell women that they have to be lesbians, but what I do tell them is, one, you got 4 options. You have 4 choices, right? You got the freedom of choice with the ability to think through these choices, right?
Yeah.
But number 2, everything that you believed about men was a lie. And what you're looking for in men are the characteristics of a woman. You want men to be providers, protectors, emotionally expressive, emotionally intelligent. These are all the character traits of a woman. And if you keep begging men to be women and believing that you have some sexual power or you just the baddest person that you can turn any man, you can fix any man, you're gonna continue to hurt yourself. Men will never be women. And you need to stop trying to force them to be. If you want to be with a man, you need to accept the man for exactly who he is at his core. Stop trying to change them. Stop trying to make them be something that they're not, because at the end of the day, if what you're wanting is a woman in a male frame, and if you want that, then you either need to date a trans man or you need to get you a woman, but you need to stop trying to force men to be women. So one, after I done told you who men are and I done proved it to you through science, you can still date them, right? You can know the scientific makeup of them. You can know all 41 shades of these men. You can know everything about them, their hygiene, their lying, where they sticking their penis, whether you know it or don't know it, and open yourself up to risk. You have that choice, but you're not gonna choose it out of being dumb and blind. You gonna choose it because you know better. And once you do that, whatever you get out of that is all on you. Don't come back telling me nothing. I don't want to hear it, because if you do, I'm gonna charge you $1,000 for 1 hour for you to tell me why your feelings hurt, because I really don't give a damn, and I'm gonna make you pay for my time. Number 2, you can be celibate. Ain't nobody told you that you have to give your sexual energy to anybody. You can, as a woman who I have freed, you have the ability to do what the fuck you want to do. So if you want to date men, date them. If you want to be celibate, be celibate. If you want to get a bunch of toys and be a dominatrix and be on OnlyFans playing with yourself so the world can see you playing with your toys, girl, do you. Get all of them. And don't nobody ever touch you but yourself. Cool. Or you could get a woman. Either one of these choices you are free to make in your power, because the feminine is the power source. The woman is God. The divine is the feminine. And that bitch can do whatever the hell she want to do. So if she want to have a bunch of women, she can. If she want to have a bunch of pool boys, she can. If she don't want nobody to touch her, she ain't got to let nobody touch her. Or she can fuck herself. Those are all the power choices that she got to make. But
look, because at the end of the day, look at the chess game, the chessboard. Where's the power? The queen can go in. The only piece on the entire board that can go any direction, forward, backward, diagonal, whatever. That is it. That is us. That is our life. That is our freedom that has been taken away from us because of lack of information. And it's so interesting to me because I'm the first one to call somebody a slave. Like, if you are mentally enslaved, you are a slave. And I'm really big about that. And I've been bad about it with men. You know, I'm like, oh, he's a slave. Like, I can't date him. He's a slave. If you're my friend, you already know that. I say it all the time. And I'm 2 dates. No, he's a slave. Can't do it. You know, because trapped here. But what has happened now with this information is now I understand. So I don't have to make a judgment about someone being a slave or less intelligent or what, you know, or less loyal, or I don't need, which I'm not really bad about making judgments. I just leave people alone. I block and move on. I let people do them. I believe everybody has the right to whatever life they choose. So I'm not trying to change nobody, but I will move my ass around, hence 5 X's. Like, my ass will up and be gone. So anyway, but, and which is real interesting. I just want to share this one thing, because when she was talking about your choices and the marriages and the whatever, and I remember I was talking to a mentor, and this has probably been about a year ago or so. And I mentioned about having been divorced 5 times or whatever. And she said, well, do you think that might, you know, we need to talk, because this is business now. We're in a business mastermind where we're, you know, coming together on that. And she said, we need to talk about that, because it really could have an impact on what's happening in your business. And don't get me wrong, I did think, oh, maybe it is a lack of commitment. I had a pastor tell me one time I had a problem with commitment. So I just accepted it and went on, because to me, I didn't see it as a problem. It's like, I'm not going to commit to something that doesn't work for me. I'm not going to do it. And I am lucky enough to trust what I see with my eyes. You can't tell me it's raining and you peeing on me. I don't care if it's the church. I don't care if it's the job. I don't care if it's the business. I don't care if you're a client. I don't care if you're the IRS. It ain't going to happen. I'm going to trust my reality every time. Every time. And that has gotten me in trouble sometimes, because I don't make the moves that the normal person who is following that brainwashed slave mentality, you know, just get a job, stay there, do this, go there, become at this time, leave at that time, don't do da, you know, all that kind of stuff, that I have a hard time, because I am neurodivergent. So my brain doesn't work like that. I can't just do it just because somebody said do it, or just because it's second Sunday, so I wear a red dress. Like, I don't operate that way. So, but anyway, the point is, I said to her, well, she said, well, you know, we need to figure out why those didn't work. And I said, well, who said they didn't work? And her face just was like, because she just assumed that you've been divorced 5 times. That means there's 5 failed marriages. No. Each one of those marriages was successful at helping me to find my power and know that I am not willing to let it go and release it to be used by this man to come up. And believe me, every single one of the husbands came up, and that's great, because that was my role. I remember saying, I am a wife. I build men up. That's what I do. And I did it until I'm empty, until I'm bankrupt, until that's it. And then I'm like, I gotta go. I gotta find myself. I'm dying here. And I just wasn't willing to exchange my life for someone else's. I just didn't believe that the God that I served set it up that way. I never have. And I've tried. I come from a very, very religious and structured religion family, and I've tried, but it does not fit. It does not make sense. And like Johnny Cochran says, if it does not fit, you must acquit. And I acquitted 5 times. Back to the show.
For me, I choose women.
Okay, very interesting. All right. Well, you know what? Thank you so much for sharing that. That was really good. So I just wanted to check on some terms, and I want to make sure that I have them right. So you were talking about the orbital lobe that's in the prefrontal cortex. Is that what you said?
Yeah, the orbital frontal cortex is orbito, O-R-B-I-T-O, Orbital
Oh,
frontal.
orbital. I thought you said orbital. Okay, orbital.
Orbital,
Okay, so
orbital
the
frontal cortex.
okay.
Hey, Messiness 101. This is Tonya TKO's show. Tonya TKO's show is live on YouTube. Tonya TKO has a guest here who has valuable information and is giving valuable information. Tonya TKO stops the message to say, let me write this down. How do you spell that? Because I need to look it up. And I'm going to question you about your information. And stopping to write it down when Tonya TKO knows that this show is recorded. Tonya TKO could rewatch the show. So you see what I'm talking about? It's a mindset. This is when we're talking about behavior here, this is a behavior that is intended to distract from what is going on. People do different things. Some people, when they get uncomfortable, they laugh. Most people just leave. So fight or flight, most people flee. They're like, some people won't even ever get to this part of the video because they done already scared. Lesbian, I'm not gonna watch that, whatever, right? So that is how people are. That's how people operate. Some people, and especially when you invite someone into your home, which this lady has done, when you invite someone into your home, it's not easy to leave. So the way to leave is through distraction. It is a way to relieve your own stress and your own discomfort. It's called cognitive dissonance. It's like a static that happens, and you can see people, and those create little tells, and everybody has their own ones, but those little tells come out when people start getting uncomfortable with a subject. Maybe it's deeper than she thought it was going to go, all of that. So now this is just me doing a little bit of behavioral analysis here. That's what you're seeing here, because it makes absolutely no sense to stop the video in order to or to interrupt your guest in order to ask how to spell a word when we all have Google and ChatGPT. And this is all recorded. You could send it to rev.com and they will transcribe this entire thing for you. And there you go. And then you can have your little researchers research it, or you can do it yourself. Like this just. So those are examples. So these are things that you can use in your everyday life with women, with men, coworkers, and whatever. Just understanding communication. Look at what's actually happening. And in order to do that, you've got to be present and in the moment. You can't be, if you look, the chat's just going. Well, all those people, and I know a lot of them are our members from the Queen Makers group for the High Power podcast, like arguing with people. So they already know, but there are other people who are not, and maybe have not even heard this, that think they're listening, but they're really not. They hear one sentence and they start commenting on it, and they miss the next 20 things that would have helped them understand it better. So we got to learn to listen. That's another thing. And guess what? Just because you listen doesn't mean you have to agree and keep it. You can listen and then release it into the universe, right? But I just don't see us progressing beyond where we are if we can't get better with communication, with empathy, with love, with sharing, with compassion, with transparency, and with integrity. That's just it. Okay, next, let's go on and let her. This is going to irritate the shit out of me, but let's just do it, because maybe she just doesn't have the capacity to connect that this is being recorded.
Okay, orbital frontal cortex. Okay, perfect. And which part of the brain did you say was the brake pedal? Did you say that was the orbital lobe, or was that
the orbital frontal cortex? It's housed in the prefrontal cortex, and that particular part of the brain is the brake pedal. It controls it controls impulse, and it can get shut off. It doesn't get shut off in women though. It only gets shut off in men. And testosterone is what shuts it off.
Okay. And then you said that we need serotonin and cortisol in order to mitigate emotional outbursts. Is that what you said? Just repeat that part.
To mitigate, well, to act antagonistically against testosterone. Right? So instead of the orbital frontal cortex doing the job, since it gets cut off and testosterone is the one that cut it off, there has to be something else to bring testosterone down to get people to get these males to control their behavior, right? So it would be serotonin and cortisol that
Okay.
would do that.
Okay, perfect, perfect. I'm going to look that up after we get off because that sounds very interesting. Where was it that you came upon that particular information about the brain? Because I told my base that the brain, like neuropsychology, is something that I want to study. So where did you come across this information about the orbital frontal cortex and all of that?
Okay, so when I do all of my observation and I come to my conclusions first before I look for the studies. So once I come to the conclusion, I work backwards. I go to PubMed,
Okay.
and then I type in what I'm looking for because
Okay.
I know these scientists have done research on it. I
Okay.
know they got the answers. So once I say this is what it is, I just go find a peer review research, and lo and behold, it's right there to back up what I have already come to the conclusion of, right? So
Okay.
you can go to PubMed literally to find anything. If you
Okay.
want to find out how breakups impact men's health, why men can't live alone, and what emotional effect, you can go find that. You can go find out how semen affects males' behavior or their body if they don't release it. You can find anything that you can think of that you see as a problem, and I promise you there is a research paper out there on it.
Interesting. Interesting. Perfect. I'm glad you said that because I was also because a few years ago I did one of the things that you said is absolutely correct. That in the
What?
manosphere, they're not researching what they're saying. They're just saying it. And it was this meme that was going viral about how when a woman has intercourse, that the male DNA is left inside of her womb, right? And so I went and I did some research on that, but that's false. When she has intercourse, his DNA is not left in her womb. The DNA that is the male DNA that is found in a woman's womb comes from the boy children that she's given birth to, as well as her father. So it's father and son DNA that is left inside of her. You said earlier that that the male child leaves his Y chromosome DNA on her brain. Can you state that again so
Yes.
that I could just look this up?
Yeah. You said it right. When women are pregnant with male fetuses, they
Mm-hmm.
leave Y chromosomal DNA scattered across the brain. So if you write that, all you got to do is type it in Google and you'll
Okay,
find it.
okay. I just wanted to make sure that I was quoting you correctly and so that other people can look into this as well, because the stuff that you're saying is fascinating. Fascinating, and I'm glad that we had a chance to have this conversation. Let's talk really quickly.
Condescending. Condescending. You hear the voice change. Condescension.
Let me, uh-huh.
I
Let's
typically on my show, anytime I reference anything, I pull the studies up directly for my audience and I post it on the screen so they can see it and they can go do their research on their own. But
Nice.
so you can, if you want to look that one up, you can also you can go look up Sebastian Kramer's work. Sebastian Kramer.
Oh my God, I hate that Princella's using. She has so much value and so much information, and she's using it to give this person who has no sincere concern for this information. Like her whole purpose in searching this out is going to be to find one thing that's incorrect, one way that it was stated incorrectly. Well, it's not actually in the brain, it's in the spinal fluid, and it's not, like, we all know people like this. And sadly, this attracts, I'm sure this lady probably got hundreds of thousands of people who watch her, because that is the projection of women that exist. I mean, that is women That is the reality shows. That is the women competing and going to different events and competing for men and everything backwards. And that is what this society has created, sadly. So it's just a fact of what we got to deal with. Anyway, the information is still valuable, and it's coming from the left side of the screen to me. And it's worth, working through the right side to get there, if that's what it takes.
Fragile male, you can look up testosterone and aggression. Okay. Testosterone and aggression. You can look up.
By the way, one more thing. I went through the Woman Thou Art Loosed program many years ago at the Potter's House, TD Jakes. And oh gosh. I had the name and then it was gone. It'll come back, but it's a lady who she is a evangelist, Juanita Bynum. She did a whole sermon on that. There's a whole CD that she talks about when you have intercourse with a man, that his DNA gets absorbed into your system and how it changes who you are. And one of the things, if you go out and check out thequeenmaker.com and listen to, she does show the study, she does provide that. But one of the things that, so I had heard that many, many years ago, and it makes sense because once you go through that process with a man, all of a sudden we're in a relationship, and we, and I know there are some women who say, oh no, I'm not that way and whatever. It all has to do with chemical makeup and all of that other stuff. But those women who say, well, no, I can have sex with a man and I'm not in a relationship. I've been in a relationship with the same married man for 30 years. So God dang it, you can call it what you want, but you there, sister. Something is working. Something is working. That's just the bottom line. So but the thing is, people won't tell the truth. They just won't tell the truth. They won't tell the truth. And we've got to stop the lying. We've got to stop the dismissal. We've got to stop the condescending. And I'm talking about me too. I'm not saying it's everybody out there. This is self-reflection. I'm talking to me as well. Because even me getting frustrated here, I'm trying not to be condescending, but I'm like, that is irritating. And I am really trying hard to control my circle so that I don't allow people like this and that energy in my world. I'd rather have 10 people look at my video. I'd rather have one friend than to have 100 of those. I'm not interested in that energy in my space at all. And in real life, if I feel it, it's out immediately. It's out. You've got to go. Unless it's something like you're blood related and I just love you and so I don't want to hurt your feelings. I might give you a little bit of grace in there, but not a lot. It got to go. We got to wrap it up because I'm not feeling the energy. And so that energy has got to be, and we all should be that way. You should require that people ascend to your frequency level to be in your presence, or you can move around. You can move around, sis. And that is not just for men, that's for women too. I am working really hard because of what I would like to do is to create a community of women, because that is what Princella is talking about. She's not talking about becoming lesbian, even though she'll tell you, if you want what you want in a relationship, that's the only way you're going to get it. She'll say that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, what she's talking about is community. And it takes a village to raise a child came from what? Community. In the olden days, that was community. That is where it came from, until our community became completely centered around men, which created competition, created backstab. And this isn't new. This has always been there. But now what's new is the video. What's new is that people can say it and see it on YouTube, and people can send pictures, go on TikTok. I saw on TikTok about a week ago, a lady went out there with information on another lady's husband. She didn't even know the lady. She's like, if you have a husband named, I might pull that video up and show you, named ABC, and he got a friend named da 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 da, and your name is da 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 da, and y'all lived in, she gave it all. She said, I know somebody who's dating your husband and blah, 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 and you can inbox me and I'll give you all the details, and this is your friend, but she talks about it and blah, blah, blah. And this lady eventually contacted her after, millions of views. Somebody got it to her and they met up at a restaurant and she gave her the information and the lady left. At the end of the day, that stuff, it's done. We have to be community, because when we become community, then everything else has to raise up to another frequency to get where we are, to reach us. And unless they can do that, they can't reach us. Unless they can do that, they can't reach us. And without us, the door is closed. The door is closed. There will still be some people who will be there, but they're not going to be the ones they want. See, men don't want the ones that are there. That's not what they want. If they did, they wouldn't be cheating. That's not what they want. They want the ones they can't get. That's what they want. And so, not to say that you want to become who they can't get so they'll want you, like that's whole defeating the purpose. But the bottom line is they want the ones they can't get. That's just the truth. Okay, back to it. I'm sorry, I done got all off topic.
How men do not see women as human, right? How they function from the left side of their brain and how they see women as tools. All of the research is there, right?
Okay. All right. Yeah. The crazy part about this, right? The crazy part about this and this conversation is that sooner or later, I'd say most women, if they're paying attention, sooner or later, most women are going to come to some of these conclusions.
Absolutely.
After being frustrated for so long. And when I hear these men talking about how they're going to get younger and younger women, so part of the thing, that the issue that people have with you is they say you're a lesbian, you hate men, this, that, and the other, you like women, etc. Right? And part of what they say about me is that I hate men, that I didn't have a father, that this, that, and the other, right? And my mother died when I was a teenager, so my father did the tail end of the rearing on me and my siblings. And so my father is very much present in my life and a big influence, as well as, my other family members, etc. Right? And so for you, I can see how they're like, oh, well, you're saying this because you're a lesbian, you like women. However, I like men, and I still have come to some of these conclusions, because it's like when you see male nature and when you see how they get down. So part of what it is that I do is I speak to younger women, and the men come out and they're like, oh, why are you trying to taint these younger women against what it is that we're doing? And it's because the younger women don't know. But live long enough and you shall find out. So I want to dive back into some of what you were saying early in the broadcast. You were saying that you were married.
Yes.
That you've dated men, etc. But you came to the conclusion that you were not going to find what it is that you needed in a man. When did you come to that conclusion? Was that during your marriage, after the marriage, during dating?
Oh, this was last year. And actually, this was December 2022, right? So I had been, for 25 years, I believe in a higher power, okay? And I believe that we are spirits or souls here having a human journey. We're on a human journey. And I believe that we all have a purpose. So planet Earth to me is a training ground. So for my purpose, which is what I'm doing right now, which is to free women, I believe the Creator sent me through a training phase for 25 years dealing with men. I have been a tomboy my entire life. I grew up as a tomboy, and I've been around men in a multitude of capacities. I've been with them as friends. I've been with them in male-dominated industries as their co-workers. I have led them because my platoon was mostly men, and so I was in charge of men. I was in charge of myself, but I've been with them and in relationships, and I've observed them online, and men have contacted me to get help over the years and it for advice. So when I tell you I know men, I know them, not just being in relationships, and I know that I'm one hell of a person. I know that I'm one hell of a person, and I don't have conflicts with people. And anytime I'm dealing with people socially, or whether it's business or whatever, I'm a delight to be around.
Oh,
I I
is that
I'm a delight
so?
to be, yes,
Oh,
I'm a delight
oh.
to be around. And everything that men have said that a woman needed to do to be with them, I was. I was the nurturer, right? I'm really good at giving massages, right? I did the whole 9 yards. I'm a hell of a cook too, right? I used to cook online, right?
Oh,
I used to be on Facebook. People would see my meals and everything. I was doing all that. And on top of that, I had talent outside of this world, right?
oh,
Very intelligent, the whole nine.
yeah.
But I've always been entrepreneurial. So I've tried to work with guys and partner in business. And guess what? Guess who did the manipulating and the plan? Them. Guess who end up having to do all the work? Myself, right? And so over the years, after being sexually assaulted, after
Oh,
having a man pull a gun on me, after being robbed by men, after being taken for money, after being um raped in 2016 and getting pregnant from that rape, thank goodness. Yeah, and the guy tells me and here's the thing, all this happened during my pro-black phase.
oh
During
my
my
goodness.
pro-black phase
Listen,
where
listen, listen. It is time for us to take a quick break, real quick. We are going to come back on this exact thing that you're saying. So I want you to remember the last thing that we
Go
talked
back.
about, where you were talking about this journey and the capacities in which you knew and interacted.
And we're going to skip ahead, but I just want to make a point here that is so interesting, and it's something that she's pointed out before. We are taught through patriarchy that these men are our providers and our protectors. But if you just think back there, and I can, you can go back to grandparents if you have to, wherever. If you think back, the person who did the provision was the woman. The person who was there protecting and nurturing was the woman. The man brought in a paycheck, or a check came to the house. And don't get me wrong, you got your hugs and your love but when it was time to go out into the world, you were with, in most cases, that woman, right? And so, yes, he is the protector of the home back then when he's there. And I know my experience might be different than everybody else's, but I know of the men that I know, and that even that I knew as a child, men were out. They were gone. I mean, they were home, some of them were home at night, some of them left at night, different things, whatever. But at the end of the day, that woman is often that guide. So even in strong, there's a saying that and I don't know who quoted it, but it's behind every good man is a great woman. And that is true. That is true. And if you think about, I think about what I was for each of my husbands and my friends and my whoever, whatever they needed. Help me do this resume. Help me. Can you, they got this business. Can you total these up for me and handle this for me? Like, do you understand I'm paid hundreds an hour to do that? And you're asking me just to do this for your job when you have an assistant who could do that? You know what I'm saying? But I did it. I lowered myself, and not lowered, I wanted to do it, but I stepped in that role. And so when people ask, well, how do you get a man to just be everything they need? Because they need a lot. Just be that. Just be that. And also understand that they're still going to do them. Because you cannot meet, and I had a husband tell me that one time. He said, I can't get all my needs met through you. I can't. There's just too much. I can't get all my conversational needs met just through you. I can't get every need I have cannot be filled through you. So there will be other women. Just understand that. And if you're good with that, and, at some point, I think I was good with that. That was, that's not a problem. You have your female friends who can whatever. I mean, so at some point, but I just remember, and I was having this conversation at one point. I don't remember who it was, probably my sister, but whoever it was. And I was saying, I don't think Sister Wives is such a bad idea. That's actually good because it's a lot on one woman. It just simply is. Like if your husband did not cheat at all and didn't get anything from another woman and didn't whatever, you would, and you see women, you might see women who are like that. Most of them are delusional because that's not really what's happening. Honestly, that's really not what's happening. But you won't really know till after the funeral when the other kids show up. That's when you know. But before then, as long as he has some money and he can keep everybody taken care of, then you'll never know. You'll never know. But it's okay. It's okay. But the point is, get the information so that you can play your cards. I saw on TikTok the other day, there was a man, he put his wife on live and he said, he called himself, blasting her. Did you take my daughter around some other man that you dating? And and she's like, well, she don't know that I'm dating him. She just know that's mommy's friend. And, and he's having a hissy. What do you mean? And she's like, you've been cheating. You've cheated with over 17 women in our 10 years of marriage, and I meet somebody and now you want to have a fit. Well, we're going to have an open marriage. And he was having a whole hissy. But he's had an open marriage the whole 2 years. But that's men. That's men. And you've seen it. If you're telling the truth, if you say you never seen it, you are a liar. You are a liar and a liar on top of a liar because you've seen it. Whether you've seen it in your own life, your sister's life, your mama's life, your grandmama's life, your neighbor's life, you have seen it. If you say you haven't, you're lying. It's just that simple. Anyway, I'm going to scoot ahead a little bit so we can get going to the show.
These dudes, they're all the same, no matter what age, financial tax bracket they're in. It don't matter how they look. It does not matter. And that's when all of the wisdom came together. And it's like, you know what? Men are consumers and women are the resource that they consume. And men approach women for 41 different reasons. And if women want to know who they're dealing with, all they got to do is see who they are in one of these 41 shades. And I guarantee you'll find them in here. So
Yes,
the
absolutely.
game, 41 Shades of Men, the pursuit to subdue and use you.
Yes, and her link to the book.
I'm sorry, y'all, I'm hot. I'm sorry, I didn't hit the thing. I'm trying to get the fan going. I just got too much going on. And why my fan won't stand up? It's one of these little funky fans. Okay, that's good enough. Okay, sorry.
Book is in the description. And when we come back, we're going to get back into the portion of the broadcast where she was opening up and follow up with that. Right now, we need to take a move. The reminder to move. Well, how are you all handling?
I'm not speaking that. Yeah. So thank Yeah, so thank goodness that they didn't have this abortion ban back then, because that would have not been a good thing, right? So, you know, and this was during my pro-black phase, right? And so what men expect women to do is endure a bunch of
My Lord.
trauma, endure a bunch of pain that they are causing, and then get out here and be like, black men, I just love black men so much, they do no wrong, and pro-black, while you cover up the brutality that they are doing to you. This is what men expect. And if you don't do that and you speak your experiences, the first thing they want to say is you hurt. And in order to prove to them that you're not hurt, you need to speak holier than thou of them and never utter the words of something that somebody has done to you. And if you do utter it, take the blame for it and then praise them. That's what they expect.
Ah,
Well, I was wrong. I should have never did this. I should have never did that. And I attracted him. This is what they want you to speak into the atmosphere. I'm not speaking that, because let me tell you something. The only reason that women get the stuff that they get out of men is because women believe something about men that's not true, that gives her rose-colored glasses, that inadvertently puts her into dangerous situations. That's the problem. It's not necessarily the woman.
okay, we're gonna come back. I'm sorry. I know y'all. I'm sorry. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna push it back. But that is so true. And having been a victim of sexual assault multiple times, having been a victim of jacking, it is a basic lie that we have been told that this is a provider and a protector, and that protector one is critical. There are little girls being abused because we are telling them that the male is the protector. And if he is the protector, why would my grandma at very young ages, don't go over to Mr. So-and-so's house, don't go up there taking candy from Mr. So-and-so. If ever something's a problem, don't go over there if you're locked out. Don't go over here, because we know these men are not our protectors. And these men got wives and children in their households. We know they're not protectors, but we lie. And that lie is getting people unalived. That lie is getting women coming up missing. That lie is leaving children motherless. We've got to stop it. We've got to stop the insanity. We've got to stop the delusion. We've got to stop it. I'm going to go back just a little bit, because I'm so sorry I did that. I hate when people do that.
Somebody has done to you, and if you do utter it, take the blame for it and then praise them. That's what they expect. Well, I was wrong. I should have never did this. I should have never did that. And I attracted him. This is what they want you to speak into the atmosphere. I'm not speaking that, because let me tell you something. The only reason that women get the stuff that they get out of men is because women believe something about men that's not true, that gives her rose-colored glasses, that inadvertently puts her into dangerous situations. That's the problem. It's not necessarily the woman herself, unless she has some severe codependent ways and she believes that the only way that she can get this love or her codependent needs met is if she turns to a male. And then she attracts men who are looking for somebody with weaknesses, right? So women being out of knowledge and having codependent ways is what attracts these men. And if you heal yourself and you become like me, these men will leave. They will get away. And that's a blessing, ladies. A man leaving you alone is a blessing. It is not a red flag. A man that's approaching women in droves they all sense something lacking in that woman that they feel that they can use to manipulate her with, right? That's what women need to understand. So if women shifted their perception on men, a lot of women's lives would be a whole lot better than what it is. Because one of the patterns that I noticed in my life is that when I didn't have no dude in my life was good.
Oh,
Listen,
it's so true. After each divorce, I built, my business went. You know, in the book, Think and Grow Rich, there's a whole chapter on sexual transmutation, taking that energy and keeping it inside through abstinence so that you can direct it in a way with more power and more velocity than any other time. Now, that book at the time was written for men because we live in a patriarchy. It is everything, all of the things that we're studying was designed for men and written for men. However, it still can apply with us, and we take the pieces that do and we release the pieces that don't. But that is so good.
hold on. I need to put up an applause on that. You know what? Listen, because we see them all over the internet talking about that's why you single, you're gonna be single, and I'm like, don't threaten me with a good time. What you talking about? Anyway, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So here's the thing. The first dude that played me in my early 20s. Now, you know that these guys like to pursue younger women because they're more impressionable, right?
Yeah.
Which means that it's easier to manipulate those. And if there's an age gap, a man who's been around longer, he has more experience and more game that he can run on somebody and on an unsuspecting victim.
Yes.
So as a car salesman who was at the top of her game, working around men who had been in the game for 30 years, one of the sayings amongst men in the car industry, it's a new fool born every day. It's a new fool born every day, and you make the most money on people who don't know how to buy cars. Ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is dangerous, right? And so I watched a man, one of my coworkers, it was an old man who came into the dealership one time, and he had a paid off vehicle and he wanted to trade it in. And to make a long story short, the man didn't know anything. He was just wanting to trade in his truck for a new truck. The salesman who took that truck in on trade held $19,000 worth of equity and kept it for himself.
Wait.
What does that mean? He shorted the man $19,000 of what his car was really worth. And the old man did not know any better, right? Ignorance is not bliss. And what I provide women with is clarity, because women are moving in total ignorance when they're dealing with men. They don't know men, but I do. And I'm going to teach you what men ain't going to teach you about them. And this is the reason why they don't like me. So they have to figure out any kind of way to get women to stop listening to me. So they'll say, oh, she a lesbian. Oh, she don't have no man. Oh, she hurt. Anything to prevent their resource from drying up. Men need women like they need air and like they need water. And that if you restrict the resources, food, air, water, and women, these men will go crazy. So they need women to stay in delusion land and continue to believe these lies about them. So you don't want to be the old man walking into the dealership and getting your car stolen and losing $19,000 on your car that should have been in your pocket. right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I prevent women from going through this, but yes, ladies, I got knocked upside my motherfucking head for 25 years dealing with men. And you don't have to experience what I experienced. The first dude to run game on me was a guy from the Nation of Islam, right? In this pro-black stuff. To make a long story short, this dude took my student loan money by running game. And what is that? Support your man, right? Build him up, right? They're supposed to be the ones you trust. But then when you trust these dudes and when you get on their program and then you get screwed over, who they want to blame? They want to blame you, right? They want to blame you. So ladies, since you are always at fault, no matter what you do, you damned if you do and damned if you don't. Girl, I'm telling you, fucking don't.
Oh my.
Stand up for yourself. So to make a long story short, in that, I got hit for 40 grand. $40,000 I got hit for, right?
Of your student loan money?
Yes. Okay. And I ended up living, basically being homeless after that, right? I dealt with men and tried to help them with business. And because of their jealousy, because I have work ethic, they were feeling insecure because they couldn't do what I was doing. And as a result of their anger and jealousy of me, they attacked me, right? Put their hands on me.
Wait,
okay.
what?
So yes.
At your job?
No, at the domicile, right? Because so I had this one guy, we were supposed to be working together. So what had happened, this was after the guy had took a lot of money from me. And so now I'm in this interim period where I'm living in an apartment and I need assistance to keep the apartment going. So I get a roommate, and this roommate decided that he wanted to do a business. Hey, let's put a business together. Well, I got a lot of executive skills. I have a lot of clerical skills. So I put the business plan together to push what he wanted to do. Instead of me being the head, I took the position of being the support, like I did for every situation I've been in. I've always been the support, letting the male lead. As a result of doing that, he got jealous and angry. So he would say stuff like this. He would see me putting some stuff together and I say, I did this. Oh, you must think I'm stupid or something. You must think I'm stupid. What you mean? I think you stupid, right? You must think you stupid. So I'm not the type of person, Tonya, I don't like conflict. I disengage from conflict. So I don't argue with men. I don't argue with people. So he got into an argument with me one day and I said I wasn't going to argue with him. So I locked myself in the room and he broke in the room to put his hands on me. The neighbors called the police, right? Okay. And so this is where I ended up leaving Shreveport and moved to Houston, Texas. Okay. Right. When I got to Houston, Texas, I found myself in a very similar situation. Very similar. Same damn thing. I'm selling products. I meet this guy. He wants to do a business because he meets me doing door-to-door sales. He lives across the street from my brother. Same exact thing. I put a business plan for him together. He wants to do this blues show. Brand new in Houston. I started linking up with everybody in Houston. I started linking up with the musicians. I get the place. I put the whole thing together. He's supposed to be funding it. Guess what? Halfway into it, I find out that the reason that you're doing this is because you got beef with people in the city and you trying to showboat on them. And so now, because I'm doing all the work, you feel like everybody's communicating with me and they don't see you. So now you're mad at me because You feel like I'm trying to take over your project. So it's the same exact thing. I'm working in his office, and because he stays across the street from my brother. So I'm over there working in his office, putting some stuff together, trying to get the artists to come, getting them paid and everything. He comes to start an argument with me. And I say, I'm not going to start no argument. I'm not arguing with, I go in one of the rooms, lock myself in the room to get away from him. He breaks in the room too and comes and grabs me by my throat and slams me in the shower. I'm like, this ain't me. This is not me.
Hold on.
And
Trigger warning.
yeah,
Trigger
yeah,
warning.
this ain't me. Ain't no way somebody finna blame me for these males' behavior. Now, at 12, I was raped. This is the pattern of life for me dealing with men, just in relationships now. Let's not talk about friendships and coworkers. I'm in the military, male-dominated industry, right? I watched my first sergeant get demoted, right? I watched my first sergeant get demoted because he was having relations with a enlisted soldier, a private, which is totally against ethics, but he's married
Oh,
man. I watched this happen. A friend of mine at the time who was a soldier in my unit, who used to come to my house and ride in my car, and we used to go to drill together. Tell me why he's serving life in prison right now, because of his extreme codependency, where this woman that he was dealing with decided to break up with him, and he stalks her at her job. This dude used to ride in my car. He stalks her at her job.
do people
And
need a trigger warning right now?
trigger warning, stalks her at her job, follows her home at 4:30 in the morning because she worked at the casino. This woman, her son was 8 years old at the time. He jumped out and he ambushed her and slit her
Wow.
throat. This dude used to ride in my car, right? Then there was a guy that used to be in a rap group that I rapped in, who once upon a time tried to pressure me for sex, and I told him no. And he didn't take it. He wasn't too happy about it when I told him no, but clearly over the years, people kept telling him no over and over. The last chick that told him no, he raped her and he chopped her body up and threw it in the river. Something is not right about these men, okay? Then I had a dude try to ask me for sex, right? And I told him no. We playing dominoes, and he pulls out a gun and put it on the table and tell me I could take it if I want to,
Take
right?
what? The gun or the game?
No, he asked me for sex and I turned him down. And when
Oh,
I
he
said
Said
no,
said
he
he
could
pulled
he.
out a
take it.
gun,
Oh,
yes,
oh.
and put it on my table and told me that, hey, I can take it if I want to, right? These are the experiences that I've had with men in and out of relationships, being in proximity with them while I'm working at the gas station, not the gas station. Well, I'll come back to the gas station. When I'm working at the car lot, right?
Yeah.
I'm one of the only women, that's hanging around the guys, right? The fellas, because I'm out selling them, right? I'm out selling them. So I'm one of the big dogs in the car at the car industry. And one day we are all in a group, and I'm the only woman in there. Because I'm a tomboy and I got a strong work ethic, a lot of men look at me as one of them. They accept me in their groups and they talk to me like I'm one of them. So one day it's probably about eight of us, 8 to 10 of us in this group standing outside. Some of them are smoking. The manager's talking. He was my manager. We all just sitting there. And the manager just starts saying, yeah, man, shit. When my wife leave the house, man, I be fucking her niece, man. That shit, man. Yes, I know men, baby. I know men. One of the
Stop, stop,
employees, he
stop,
would come and
stop, stop, stop. And this is where it's triggering. It's a lot. It's not anything I haven't heard, seen, known, all of it. Like, and it is, but it's a lot. It's just a lot. And so when I say it busts through, if you're in denial, she will bust you out of that. She will bust you out of that. You can deny all you want, but at some point, like we know. I just needed a minute. I just need a minute. Yeah, it's a lot. And the reality is this all men. It's not all, but it's most. It's not all, but it's most. And that is the problem. And that is what is so scary. It's most. It's most. And if a man is going to be honest, if he has, most men don't have enough emotional maturity to be honest enough to go to therapy, to get help, to figure out, because it's not, this is how they're wired. They're wired to be chaotic, violent, testosterone. They're wired to be that way. It is the exception when they are not that way. But with structure, with control and controlled environments and structured environments, and typically with a really super strong woman who controls the bank account and the money, you can find them in, and they are called, they get called beta males or simps or whatever by other men, henpecked, whatever. But those men are able to control that because someone else is controlling them, which is what she teaches as the design. So if you have a husband and that is the design, I have friends who are married and their husbands go to work, they bring the check home and the woman handles it from there, and she refuses to go to work. She will not go to work. She will do whatever things that she does. And then I have friends that do go to work, and I have friends that do have, they have their own businesses and their husband stays at the home. And when I was married, I've had a spouse stay at the home and pick my son up, take him to football practice or whatever, and supported me to allow me to build my business. So I'm grateful. May he rest in peace. It was, I'm grateful for him because he was that guy for me. And he was good as long as he stayed within this boxed structure. But men naturally don't want that. They don't want to be in that structure. They want the chaos. They want to get out. They don't want to be at home. They want that. And in this particular case, there was a real diagnosed mental condition. And so that, I think, was probably the main reason in an addiction. Had that not been there, though, that was, I can honestly say, the best man when he was in a structured environment. He was that guy. And he had all the pieces, but, again, that, the mental part, but there were, I have other ones that were great guys, but they brought chaos and they brought drama and they brought always something to where I couldn't build because I was so distracted. So, and I'll just tell you recently, with a person that I disconnected from, great guy, very successful, very probably wealthy from the way, we consider wealth in the Black community would be considered wealthy or well off, doing well financially. Actually, I know a couple that meet that, but in both cases, they're very similar. So there's not much. But anyway, what was interesting with this particular one, I decided that I was going to disconnect. So I blocked him because he was a manly man. And it was like, you're going to talk to me. So if I say I'm no longer interested in dating or talking or even being friends, because there's something that you want from me that I'm not willing to give. And so I'd rather just not be connected. And so I blocked him. And what was interesting one day, just not even noticing, the phone rings and it's no caller ID. I pick up the phone and he goes, "Oh, so you blocked me." And I was like, "Ooh," like it scared me, even though I'm not necessarily scared. I am scared to some degree of all men, but I'm not particularly scared of him. And so, but it scared me because I wasn't even thinking. I thought it was going to be a telemarketer or something. So anyway, and he said, "You blocked me, why?" And so I said, "It's nothing personal. We're friends, we're whatever. But I am doing me. I'm focusing on building. I'm creating some things in my life. I'm changing my frequency and I'm changing my circle." And so from a business standpoint, you can call me, how to reach me on my business line. But as far as on a cell phone, that's not, I'm not interested. And so he continues to go on and talk and tell me some stuff that was kind of interesting or whatever. So I'm listening and, it's totally off topic. And then I realized, so I blocked him because I didn't want him in my circle. He's called and just completely walked past that boundary. And now here we are 30 minutes later in a full-fledged conversation, right? And it was interesting because he said right before, I was like, I gotta go, whatever. And he goes, "Well, if you don't unblock me, you'll never talk to me again, because I will never conceal whatever you got to do to call no caller IDs, that I'll never do that again." And I'm thinking to myself, so, okay, so, and this isn't the first time, but there's been several times with this particular person, well, with men in general, but all men at some level, but with him, where I specifically said, "Are you gaslighting me?" Like, because I'm a pro at it now. I can see it a mile away. I'm like, "Are you gaslighting?" Because most people they say gaslighting, but they don't really understand what gaslighting is. Gaslighting is when someone says something to you, male or female, it's not just men. When someone says something to you and then you're like, "Am I crazy?" That's usually going to be a gaslight. You just got lit. You got a little torch right there. And so I'll say that, and I was like, "Are you gaslighting me?" So so this is what he said. He said, "Well, I'm never gonna. You'll never talk to me again, ever." And this is someone I really cared about, like really, I really do. I mean, like I could have seen myself married to him without the information I just got, without this study that I've been doing for the last, I guess it's been almost 2 months now, that I've been studying under Priscilla hard and doing my own research and doing my own, because what I saw was the answer to everything I have been seeing my whole life. And I'm older than, I'm 54, she's 37. I got 17 years, but I have been seeing this my whole life. I couldn't put my finger. I thought I would refer to Willie Lynch letter. I would refer to slavery mentality. I'd refer to all these things that I thought was creating this. And it wasn't. It was a centered life around men. It was a centered life around patriarchy and around playing and being this role that is the support to this insanity, which is called men. And it's, again, not every man, because some men are in touch with their emotional side and have emotional intelligence. Some men do, and some women don't. Okay, so some women don't. And one of the things that she shares about that is we have it innately when we're created as women. We have it, but we lose it when we become pricked and prodded and forced into this little box called patriarchy and taught rules that support and sustain misogyny. When we're taught those things, I didn't even know the word misogyny. I had to Google it. I mean, I had heard it, but it was just heard in passing. Like, I had to really do some study to understand how deep this goes in our society and in our religions and in just in the structure of our families. And it's taught from beginning to end. But anyway, the point was, he said, here's the gaslight right here. So he's blocked, which means that block means usually I don't want to talk to you anymore, right? It means I don't want to talk to you, right? But he says, well, if you don't unblock me, not in a mean way, but just so you know, I'll never call you this way again. That's what I want. Like, that's what I want. You to stop calling. And then he goes, well, because if you want me to stop calling, just tell me to stop calling. Okay, well, stop calling. But don't block me. But you don't need to block me. Well, you won't know you're blocked if you stop calling. And so I've had multiple stalkers in my life. I don't think he's one, but it doesn't matter, because what happens is when I say no, I mean no, and I want it to be no. And if it's not no, I'm going to block you. And that's male or female. That's just what it is. Because I have to protect my own boundaries. Anyway, so yeah, so that was the gaslighting. Like, are you, so basically, so at the end, he goes, are you going to unblock me? And I said, no, I'm not going to unblock you. Okay, well, I guess you'll never talk to me ever again. I said, okay. And then we hung up the phone. He's still blocked. That's what it is. So anyway, ladies, it is 10 o'clock my time, Central Time. I'm going to stop. I will come back tomorrow and finish this. I will post on Facebook if you're interested in coming to just see any of this live. Most people probably, might, if they're interested, if you were watching it, you may go and take a look at it on the video directly on the High Powered podcast and subscribe there and get the learning for yourself. It's so powerful. And one of the things about community is it's not about being selfish. It really isn't about being selfish. I don't care who you get the message from, as long as you get it. As long as you get it. Was it my purpose to be able to provide some of this information? Was I supposed to stop when I sold my company years back and go out and start really teaching this and doing this study and coming out? I don't know. I would say no, because guess what? We got this divine feminine who has come in, and it's really amazing to watch her speak when she's uninterrupted and just her talking, because you can actually see, I call it, when I teach and when I would do my programs, I call it a download. You can see the eyes just go up and the next thought just flows, and it is so perfect and unpracticed that it's not something that is coming from her, but is something that is coming through her. It's powerful. And I've tried to share, and people can take it or leave it. I will continue sharing. I'm like the marketers that say, you just keep calling or you keep sending emails until they buy, die, or unsubscribe. You're gonna have to just unsubscribe, and if you don't want to hear, because this is saving lives. There are people that are coming up dead. Not just we saw the Shanquella story. We've seen tons of story, but the Shanquella wasn't just men in that situation. It was women, but it was men too. And I will tell you, where you see extreme dysfunction with women, there is usually a center around men. It is usually centered around men. If you decenter your life of the men and you pull them out, the women can be in community, and you don't have the competition. You don't have the hate or jealousy or envy or all of those different things. And we can all shine in our beautiful butterfly glow. And it's just amazing. And I see that happening, and I'm grateful to be alive at this time. So I love you guys. I'm going to go. I'll be back tomorrow, probably pretty early. I'm thinking, I don't want to commit to a time, but it'll be pretty early. Just if you want to finish watching this with me or anything else, definitely subscribe to me on YouTube and hit the little alarm, and it'll let you know whenever I go live or when I post something new. There's some other things out on my channel that I've been doing. I'm doing a reading of Conversations with God, which is amazing and amazingly freeing and amazingly consistent with everything else that I'm sharing. And one of the things that I believe at my core, and it's beyond belief and it's beyond faith, but it is, I know to be truth. And when you know something, that's faith, when you really know. And what I know to be truth is when something is the truth, it is consistent with everything else that is the truth, period. And that is the truth. So anyway, with that, you guys have a blessed night, and I'll see you tomorrow.